Well, greetings, everyone. I'm Suzanne Clausen, and my husband Steve and I own CruiseOne in Show Low, Arizona. We are part of a team. Lauren Clausen manages our Tucson office, and we want to welcome you to the webinar. You're all here to learn about Antarctica with Aurora Expeditions. So we're going to tell you briefly a little bit about our agency. We're going to tell you about Aurora Expeditions and the expedition experience with them. And then we're going to talk a little bit about our highlights of our expedition experience. And then we're going to talk about our group rates with Aurora in Antarctica. Steve and I are passionate about travel. We love sharing that passion that we have for travel with our clients. We really like to engage with our clients and understand what they want to get out of their travel experience. And then their dream becomes our goal. We want to make that happen for our clients. We listen to them. It's a very consultative, cooperative type of planning experience that we have with our clients. And like I said, our goal is to make your dream vacation happen. There's a lot of advantages of working with our agency. We work on your behalf. We're not working for the cruise line, we're working for you. You have all of our expert planning experience. We've probably been there and done that and know all the ins and outs of every itinerary and every logistic to getting just about anywhere in the world. You get that expert planning assistance. We know that one size doesn't fit all. So when you're looking to do some sort of expedition experience, we'll consult with you and help you find the best fit for you. We have a low price guarantee. You'll never pay more booking directly with a cruise line than you will with us. And of course, help is always just a phone call away. You don't have long hold queues. You will either get me or Lauren in our Tucson office or our voicemail. You leave us a voicemail, we will call you right back. So we are very responsive to our customers. Again, you are our very reason for existence. And so we get right back to you. That is, you are what we are all about. Now, we just got back. This is very exciting. We just completed the Northwest Passage with Aurora Expeditions. We did this August and September of this year. We were the 100th passenger vessel to complete this. And it was such an amazing experience. We knew that when we did this Northwest Passage, that we had definitely partnered with the right cruise line to bring Antarctica to our customers as well. This was a 29-day to Nome. We followed the path of Roald Amundsen, who was the first to complete the Northwest Passage from, of course, the first European to do it. Of course, the Inuits had done it for centuries. They had been traveling these waters for centuries. So just to show you a few of the highlights from that experience, it really was destination immersion for us. And that is what Aurora Expeditions is all about. It's about seeking new ways, new parts of the destination, and getting you right in there in that we're in the destinations you're going to and really putting you in the heart of the experience. So let's talk briefly about what the difference between an expedition style cruise is and a traditional cruise, because they are very, very different. So traditional cruise, you're on a big, huge ship. You've got thousands of fellow guests. You have very short stays in port. You have formal nights and cruise elegant nights, something where you dress up. You're really like on a floating resort where the ship is as much of the attraction as the destination, with all kinds of entertainment, dining venues. I mean, it really is a big deal. And when you go to a remote destination like Antarctica, you're going to do only scenic sailing. You're not going to be able to get off that large ship and set foot in the destination. When you do an expedition with a company like Aurora, they travel with less than 120 guests when they're visiting that type of destination. You're on a modern, purpose-built icebreaker, and it is complete immersion in the destination. That destination is the whole focus of your trip, and your ship serves as your very comfortable, very plush base camp for the entire trip. It is focused on the wildlife and the beauty of the destination. And we've previously been to Antarctica twice. We did it on big celebrity ships. They were wonderful experiences. We did it in 2020 and 2023. Well, we took a big group down there with us in 2023. And the input we got from the people that went with us that year and in 2020, they said, We want to experience this on land. We want to have that full immersion in the destination. So we put a group together. We're actually going in a couple weeks with our group in 2026. And like I said, for a lot of our guests, this type of experience, just the sail by, was the perfect experience. But we actually had a big transition in summer of 2023. We had the chance to go with Aurora Expeditions to Svalbard. And if you don't know where that is, it's somewhere between Greenland and Norway. And it's kind of this big island that's up all inside the Arctic Circle. It is one of the most remote places on Earth. And this was our first time to do an expedition cruise, and we were just transformed. Now we still do the traditional cruises where we get dressed up and go to all the shows and everything, but we've mixed in these expedition cruises as well because they are such unique and meaningful experiences. We've done Easter Island. We have done, like I said, this summer we did the Northwest Passage. It really is now part of our regular experience in our travels. Now, who can enjoy an expedition cruise? So guests should be in generally good health. You need to be at least fitness health. I say you need to be mobile, but you don't necessarily need to be able to run a marathon. And you're able to adapt your abilities to the activities for the day, or adapt the activities to your abilities. Shore activities are generally divided into different activity levels. And if you are a little bit slower in your mobility, the ship will make every effort to accommodate your level of activities. The Zodiac rides are simply the way that you get to and from the shore. You simply just need to be able to sit upright for extended periods of time to enjoy those Zodiac rides. I like to say, if you can do a round of golf or shop till you drop on Black Friday, you can definitely do an expedition cruise. So here's a video about Aurora Expeditions. It really is a dramatic experience to sail with Aurora Expeditions. So take a look. These are the two that we are featuring in 2027. We have two different itineraries for you to choose from with our special pricing. We have got February 28th. That is on the Greg Mortimer ship, and this is a 12-night across the Antarctic Circle. So if you want to be able to check off that you have sailed below the Antarctic Circle, this is a great itinerary for you to do. And then we also have on March 9th, this is an expedition that's 20-night. It's going to include South Georgia and the Falkland Islands. And those are places where you can see penguins galore. And then you also go to the Antarctic Peninsula. So you will see the peninsula and then those sub-Antarctic islands where you can see more of the wildlife. This time of year, February and March, is when some of those big whales are the most active. So if they kind of call it whale season. So if you are into whales and that's something you enjoy watching, it's definitely the time to go. I know our August season, August and September season, when we were in Greenland last year, was big whale time. And we got, oh, some of those whales were just showing off, we kind of felt. So I want to talk a little bit about why we choose to partner so frequently with Aurora Expeditions when we do our special expeditions and put together special pricing for our clients. One is that destination immersion. Every time we have sailed with Aurora Expeditions, it has really been so focused on getting you out in those Zodiacs, having that experience. And because Aurora Expeditions carries so few passengers, that 120 capacity, they are able to get everyone out on the Zodiacs at the same time. They don't have to do split landings because they have some people in kayaks, they have some people that are doing maybe snorkeling. And so they are able to get everyone out on the Zodiacs. They have Zodiacs for everybody. They don't have to do split landings. Some expedition companies carry as many as 300 passengers. So that means you have Group A, Group B, and Group C, and they have to take turns. So when you're in a particular landing site, Group A goes out for 45 minutes. They come back, get off the Zodiacs. Group B goes out for 45 minutes, and then Group C. Whereas when you're with Aurora Expedition, everybody goes out at the same time and gets to spend the entire time in that particular landing site, ashore or in the Zodiacs, and everyone in the group can either be in the kayaks or ashore or snorkeling. Everybody gets to spend as much time as they want in the destination. They also give us exclusive savings. So there's a lot of expedition companies that will like, yeah, you just get the regular price, have fun marketing that. And so if we like that, we can give you a little bit better deal. And they are great stewards of the environment. They do a lot of citizen science, and they really take care to leave a very small footprint and actually clean up some of the remote areas in the Arctic and the Antarctic. And like I said, our previous experiences with them have been so meaningful and so wonderful. We just, like I said, we love partnering with them. So they're an award-winning cruise line. They have won the world's best expedition cruise line, and they've also won Expedition Cruise Line of the Year several times. They're, like I said, an amazing company. So let's talk a little bit about them. They have been doing polar expeditions for over 33 years. They were founded by legendary adventurer Greg Mortimer. He was the first Australian to scale Mount Everest, and he started taking people to the Arctic and the Antarctic, families, and he would charter like a Russian icebreaker, and they would go, and then it kind of turned into a company. And then he was one of the charter members of the like environmental steward organizations that protect the Arctic and the Antarctic. It's IATO and IACO is what they're called. And they're also innovative. You'll notice when you see that, maybe you already kind of looked at the design of the ship, they are using those Ulstein X-bow ships, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it's definitely innovative designs. They are headquartered in Australia, but they also have sales offices in North America and Europe. So they are a certified B Corp, and that is a certification that is given to for-profit companies that they measure the company's social and environmental performances against certain standards. And there are over 6,000 certified B corporations in 80 countries across 153 industries. And it's all about sustainability, accountability, and transparency in terms of stewardship for the environment. Just a couple of things that they do that are very unique. They have their citizen science program. So they do things like counting birds. I'll show you in this next slide, they do the Happy Whales program. And again, those beach cleanups, we participated in that in both of our Arctic expeditions. They do some microplastic studies. So they are in these remote areas of the world, and they use that time to measure things like how the microplastics are getting into the environment and how, and report back on that, because it's it's not very easy to send scientists like every day to these areas. They have a lot of different included activities. So, of course, all those Zodiac cruises are included. There's escorted hikes and walks at different levels, long walk, short walk, beachcombers walk. There are photography classes and lectures and contests and activities and challenges with the photography. You get expert lecturers. So many of the expedition guides are experts in history, environmental sciences, whales, penguins, birds, all kinds of things, and they present to you throughout the expedition experience about all the different things in the environment that you're going to be experiencing. They also do some bird watching, and another great thing is they take you to historic sites. So in Antarctica, that's going to be like whaling stations or research stations, and they're going to give you the history of what happened in that area and what happened to the men that were explorers in that area. And like when we were in the Northwest Passage, we heard so many different stories about some of the first people that were to explore, and successfully and not so successfully in that area. So it was a great, rich history that we got there. I'm very much looking forward to getting that lecture series when we are in Antarctica. And again, that citizen science program. Now, in Antarctica, they offer, depending on the time of year you're going, a lot of different activities. Now, if you go early in the season, they even offer these things like the snowshoeing and the ski touring and the camping. That is in like the late part of the year, like November, December, because that's when the snow is out. Now, in the spring, when we are going, or late winter, right, late summer, I guess it's late summer, it's our spring, late summer for them. They have the kayaking and the snorkeling. And the snorkeling you do in a dry suit, so don't worry about freezing. You are in a dry suit, and they when you do sign up for the kayaking or the snorkeling, you sign up for the entire trip. They do fit you to your kayak, and every day where the conditions are suitable for kayaking, you have the opportunity to get out there and do the kayaking. And there's an example. Most people are going to be in that two-person kayak. It just gives you a little chance. If you get tired, you can take a little break. And they really only kayak when the conditions are right. If it's windy or choppy seas, you're not going to kayak. There's so many nice little calm coves in Antarctica that there's plenty of opportunity to do some calm kayaking. They also have some longer hikes where you get a chance to hike up mountains and that kind of thing. And then the snorkeling again in those dry suits. You would not believe the amount of life that is underneath the water in places like Antarctica. You would think in such a desolate place and where it's so cold, there wouldn't be a lot under the sea, and there is just teeming with life under the sea, all kinds of kelp and starfish and fish. It's amazing. If you have a GoPro, put it under the water, and you will capture amazing things that are under the water that you wouldn't believe that were there. Again, some expert guides, people that are so knowledgeable in all the areas of their field. And here's the greatest part is that you have a lot of diversity in the people. They come as experts. You have naturalists, marine biology, geologists, historians, ecologists, glaciologist, ornithologists, climatologists. And again, they are all chosen because of their expertise in their field. And a lot of their expedition team happen to be women. Like certainly our expedition leader from our last cruise, she was actually a diver in Antarctica one time. I'm trying to remember the other things she had done in her life. She had done a lot of amazing like exploration expeditions, like crossing Antarctica and doing some crazy things. And so she had, kind of found her niche doing these expeditions up in the Arctic. And just to hear her stories, it was absolutely amazing. So let's talk about the ships that are in the Aurora Expeditions fleet. There is the Greg Mortimer, which was their first Olstein X-Bow. It was named after the founder of the company, Greg Mortimer. And the Sylvia Earle, that is the ship that Steve and I have sailed on twice. We did Svalbard in that ship, and we also did the Northwest Passage on that ship just earlier, late in 2025. And then they have a brand new ship that just came out. It is the Greg Mawson, and he is also a famous Australian explorer. And here's the unique thing. All the human activity in Antarctica is very heavily regulated by treaty. And among the most important rules is that vessels with more than 500 passengers may not make landings in Antarctica. So remember, I showed you the picture of me on that celebrity ship, 2,000 passengers, we can't land in Antarctica. And a maximum of 100 passengers can be ashore at one time. Well, most of the time when Aurora sails, they actually sail with fewer than 100. But if they were to max out at like that 120, well, they got some people snorkeling and they got some people doing the kayaking. So the most that would ever be ashore would be under 100. So they, like I said, they're able to get everyone out in the Zodiacs and ashore at the same time or doing their other activities all at the same time. So they average 100 passengers when they go into the polar areas. I mean, because they have solo travelers, they rarely sail completely full. Oh, and look at your rooms. These are beautiful rooms. They used to do these cruises on old Russian icebreakers, and believe me, your rooms were not that nice when they did it on this. But this is what the rooms look like on these Olstein X-Bow ships. This is a standard balcony cabin, pretty lovely. And one nice thing is the floors of the bathroom are heated. So if your socks and your gloves get a little wet when you're out in the morning, you can take them off and dry them during lunch. And then you've got dry clothes to put back on in the afternoon. This is the lecture hall where they do all the presentations about the different species of animals. They do like a recap and briefing every night at 6 o'clock, kind of before dinner. They talk about maybe what the lecture subject is for the day, and then they talk about what you're going to be doing tomorrow or what the plan is, and what plan A and what plan B is, because the weather and the continent kind of set the schedule, and there's always a plan A and a plan B and a plan C. And that's the best part of a good expedition team, is they're really ready to turn on a dime and set up something incredible for you when plan A and plan B don't work out. It's the weather. There is a lovely library, and all those books that you see there are usually picture books about different expeditions or animals, whales, all things. They're kind of like coffee table books about Antarctica or the Arctic. So you can pick something up there and just kind of browse through it and find some interesting stuff. If hiking all over Antarctica isn't enough to keep you fit, they have this lovely gymnasium so that you can work out between your hiking trips. And this is the mudroom. This is one of the things I love about Aurora, is because they're purpose-built ships. They didn't take some little side room and convert it over into a mudroom. They built it with a mudroom. And so your boots can stay in there, your life jackets can stay in there, you can even hang your jackets in there if they get a little bit wet. And there's plenty of room. There's benches in there. You can grab your boots, sit down on your bench, put them on, take them off. It really is very well designed for the entire ship to go in there and change into their boots, take off their boots, and head out on the Zodiacs. There's where the Zodiacs are stored. This is nice because the Zodiacs are stored low on the ship. They're not having to lower them from a really high upper deck. They're able to get the Zodiacs into the water very quickly and get you, whenever they pick out their landing spot, they're able to get the Zodiacs out quickly and get you into them very quickly. The kayaks, there's a couple ways that they can load them, but they do have this floating pontoon on the back. That is one way that they can load the Zodiacs. And here's the other thing that's great about Aurora. It is relaxed and casual atmosphere. I have a client that's going next week. He's like, well, do I have to wear a collared shirt in the dining room? How dressy do you have to be in the dining room? These people are dressed for the dining room. Basically, it's like whatever you had on underneath your coat and jacket, you just take that off and walk to the dining room. There is no dress code. It's just it's very comfortable, casual. You want to keep your beanie on because your hair looks a mess underneath it, keep your beanie on. It's, like I said, It is all about enjoying the destination. There's no pretense. And you have groups, solo travelers, couples. You get a really good mix of people that will go on, and all ages that will go on these expedition cruises. So again, here's the Aurora difference. Again, that positive impact, the small ships, these beautiful purpose-built ships, that education and enrichment, more time off the ship in your destination. And of course, nobody's forcing you. Sometimes if you needed a little extra sleep, you can always roll over and go back to bed. But that opportunity to be on a shore is always there for you. And that activity program. And again, those expert guides that are so good and so personable. So many of them speak multiple languages. It is just an amazing crew and expedition staff on Aurora Expeditions. So let's talk about a little bit about Antarctica. I wanted to kind of show you a map so you can kind of get your orientation. So Ushuaia, where you generally embark, is down here. And here's the Falkland Islands. So this is a place where you can see penguins here. And then this is South of Georgia, which is those sub-Antarctic islands. That is where these massive amounts of penguins breed. And you see pictures like in that video, tons and tons of penguins there. And then these are kind of also the sub-Antarctic islands. And then here is the peninsula. And this area right in here is where that big cruise ship that I was on sailed. And then if you are on the one that goes below the Antarctic Circle, you're going to go in this area right here. This is the Weddell Sea, and that's a Weddell seal. So kind of gives you an idea of where Antarctica is. This is the Drake Passage. So if you do the cruise that goes around this way, you only go through the Drake Passage once. And they do have some that fly the Drake, and I'll show you this. We're not featuring that one, but that is an option if you don't want to sail the Drake Passage. Aurora does have some sailings that do that. So some examples of the different kind of wildlife that you are going to see in Antarctica. Again, multiple different kinds of penguins. You're going to see different kinds of seals, lots of interesting seabirds. Seabirds are some of the most interesting animals because they spend 95% of their life at sea and they only come ashore to nest and mate, which is interesting. Orcas, I think they're the smartest, might be the smartest animals on the planet next to humans, and the humpback whales and the minke whales. So very, very interesting animals. Again, those little penguins, I think they're the funniest looking animals when they're walking around on land, but they are so sleek and agile when they are in the water. It's just amazing. And again, some fur seals there on Deception Island in Antarctica. And there's some humans paddling around in their kayak, gives you an idea of what the glaciated scenery looks like. Quite beautiful. And then there we go. We have some, that gives you an idea of what a wet landing might look like. So I wanted to take this picture because you can see that Zodiac is going to pull right up there. It might get up to the water and they might be able to pull up and step off into the snow, but it also might be that you might have to just step off the side of that Zodiac into very shallow water. So that is why you have your muck boots, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but you have the muck boots that are about knee high, and that keeps your feet dry when you are going ashore and have to do a wet landing. And there's an example of some of that amazing sea ice that you get to see there. And let's talk about the included extras that Aurora has. So you get a pre-voyage accommodation in Ushuaia, and you can extend that to 2 nights. So you can stay 2 nights in Ushuaia, or you can just stay for the included night that's there. They include your transfer. So you just tell them what flight you're coming into to Ushuaia. They transfer you to the hotel, and they transfer you to the ship the next morning. And they also always include a sightseeing tour in Ushuaia ahead of your cruise. Now, they do have some, these are the included items on shore. or excuse me, on the ship, excuse me. So all of your shore excursions, those Zodiacs, the hikes, all that stuff is included. You get house drinks with dinner. So that's going to be beer and wine. And they do have a nice selection of wine because they are Australians and Australians love their wine. You get Starlink Wi-Fi. That's included. There's no charge for the Starlink Wi-Fi. And I ran my business for 29 days in the Northwest Passage from the ship. So that was pretty good Wi-Fi. I mean, I was talking to people on the phone over my computer. So it was working pretty well. You get the 3-in-1 waterproof expedition jacket. You get the muck boots during the use of muck boots. So you can take the waterproof jacket home and the muck boots you just give back. You borrow those. There's a professional photographer on every voyage and they take pictures and document it. And then, I think it comes about 6 months after you get back from your cruise, they send you a nice little photo book of all the professional pictures that were taken during your voyage. And then there's also all your port charges, landing fees, all that stuff is already included in the price of your cruise. You don't have to worry about any of those permits or anything like that. The cruise company has already taken care of that. So really quickly, I'm going to go through this. This is our very first expedition with Aurora in 2023. Just quickly, I'm going to go through this. We saw spectacular seabirds and wildlife. I did the polar plunge. I don't know what I was thinking. They have a fun evening barbecue that's always fun with music and dancing and barbecue food. That's a nice way to kind of let off some steam halfway through your voyage. The food is actually really good. I mean, you would think for like this is base camp, is it going to be like stew and beanie weenie or something like that? No, it's very good gourmet food. They have excellent chefs on board, and I like the food. It's very enjoyable. And this is how you get on the Zodiac from the ship. So I just want to show you, it's really pretty easy. You take a hand of the Zodiac driver, they get you right on there and you sit down. It's they have a team of able seamen. The able seaman is in the ship, and then the Zodiac expedition team leader is standing there. They give you the hand. There's a block to step on. Really easy getting in and out of the Zodiacs. And if there is a little bit of a swell, they always find a way to position the ship to make it really easy to get in and out. They do a great job with that. This was our expedition team for that voyage. They always do a nice picture. They're so professional. We were just so thrilled to have them. And we had a couple of people from that voyage on our Northwest Passage, and we're hoping that we'll have a couple of people from either one of those voyages on our Antarctica cruise in a couple of weeks. So, it was full destination immersion. Like I said, that was our very first dipping of our toe into the expedition experience, and it's been a regular part of our cruising ever since then. Like I said, we did this Nook to Nome. There's some pictures of that. Just absolutely amazing experience. So now let's talk about the Antarctic experience. So this is the itinerary for that across the Antarctic Circle. You do sail across the Drake Passage, and then you visit King George Island. Those are called like sub-Antarctic islands. The beautiful wildlife, amazing things there. And then you're going to head up the coast of the peninsula on this side through all these different channels, and then go across the Antarctic Circle. So just to give you an idea, you have that overnight stay in Ushuaia, and they do put you up in a very nice hotel there. On embarkation day, you get a tour. Usually they take you out to Sea Lion Island, which is in the Beagle Channel. If it's a beautiful day, I have to tell you, it's some of those striking scenery that you will ever see. And then go across, you're going to spend days 5 through 10. So you get 5 days on the peninsula. And then you're going to have like a day and a half crossing back the Drake Passage, and then disembark day 13 in Ushuaia again. And that itinerary is on the Greg Mortimer. Again, that is their first Ulstein X-Bow. And it is a ice class 1A polar class, code 6. It's fully SOLAS, so it's safety of life at sea compliant, meets all their requirements. And the Ulstein X-Bow is designed, what does it kind of look like? If you look at the front of that, it kind of looks like an orca or a dolphin. and it is designed to cut through the waves rather than bouncing off of them. So it's going to make that crossing of the Drake Passage a lot smoother than if you were in a traditional regular shaped bow ship. Um, and it's also the other thing that makes it great. If you look on the sides back here, that's where you enter the Zodiacs. It is so convenient. It's right off the mudroom. Like I said, it makes going on and off those Zodiacs super easy. It's just perfectly designed. This is what the rooms look like. So this is category A, B, and C, veranda cabins. They're all pretty much similar in size. The difference is kind of just the location on the ship and the balcony size. A couple of the rooms are a little bit smaller, but they're great, great, wonderful balconies. The beds can be split apart. So if you're traveling with a platonic companion, they can be split apart so you don't have to share a bed. They have a superior balcony. This has a larger view, and you can see this balcony is right here. It's a very large balcony if you do one of those. They have a junior suite, so this is like a 2-room suite. And then they also have a captain suite, which is the same concept, but a little bit larger for that captain suite. Here's a look at the deck plan of the Greg Mortimer. And you can see it's very, it's nicely designed. The main dining room is here, and this is the lecture hall. And then they have the observation lounge up on this high deck. That's where Steve and I like to spend our evenings after dinner. We like to go up there and look for whales and look at mountains and other scenery. It's a really great place to hang out. So here's our pricing. So we have special pricing. They are running their early booking promotion, and that's the pricing that you see in this middle column here. But they have given us an extra 10% off of that pricing. So this pricing you see here is that with that extra 10% off that they've given us exclusively at CruiseOne. So this is price per person based on double occupancy or single share. So you have the opportunity, if you do not have a roommate, to go single share. And what that means that you have to say you're willing to share your room with another person of the same gender, and they will match you up with somebody who is also going to go single share. In this particular sailing, they do have single cabins, but those have already sold out. So it's single share would be your option. Or if you want to book it as double occupancy and try to find a roommate, you can do that as well. It is a 50% single supplement if you do not find a roommate. So cabins are subject to availability, but I checked this at 1:30 today at 1:26, and all these categories were available as of 1:30 today. And as a webinar special, if you book, we're going to give you a $250 per person onboard credit. That could be spent at the gift shop. It could be spent on alcoholic beverages outside of meals. They also have a massage therapist on board, so that would be another way that you could spend that money. So now we're going to skip over to our next featured expedition, which is that 29th South Georgia, Falklands, and Antarctic Odyssey on March 9th of 2027. This is also round trip from Ushuaia. And that one is going to start on March 9th. Again, you have that overnight hotel stay in Ushuaia. And this one, you start by crossing the Drake Passage, and then you're going to explore the Antarctic Peninsula first. Then you're going to head out across to South Georgia and the Falkland Islands, and then back to Ushuaia. It really gives you a quite a broad perspective of Antarctica when you do it that way. You get to kind of see the whole kit and caboodle. It's on the new Douglas Mawson ship. And again, it's that X-bow. It's going to have all those innovations. A little thing that's a little bit different, the Douglas Mawson versus the Greg Mortimer, is that it does have these glass windows up front. So, and it has a couple cabin categories that are not included in the Greg Mortimer. So wanted to show you that really quick. You do have the traditional balcony cabins on the Douglas Mawson, but they've also added 2 new cabin categories, and these are the superior staterooms with French verandas. So this is the one that's double occupancy. This window lowers down to create your French veranda. You may have seen those on river ships, or even the celebrity cruise ships kind of have that concept. They also have them They're long, skinny rooms, but they have them as single occupancy rooms, and you can see the layout of the single occupancy as well. They have a couple of those on that ship as well. They have, again, the superior veranda. They have the junior suite, just like the Greg Mortimer, and they have the captain suite. Again, here's just kind of a layout deck plan. It's basically the same deck plan. They just have a couple of different rooms that are a little different. And again, you see those long, skinny rooms are going to be the single occupancy cabins. And there's still some of those single staterooms are available on that itinerary. So they're still available with the single pricing. The Aurora Superior, of course, with the double occupancy price, it's a little bit less. But all rooms have a full balcony except for the Aurora Superior and the Aurora Stateroom have those French balconies. I think one of them might have a porthole, but we can look at it when we're ready to get looking at it. Again, these prices are double occupancy or single share, except where I've specified that it is a solo or single cabin. And again, this is not all that Aurora offers. They offer many, many different itineraries, but these are the two that I'm featuring because I felt like they gave you a good choice. You have, that quick one with a really nice price point. It gets you into Antarctica, gets you across the Antarctic Circle at a nice price point. If you want to do something more extensive, you're going to get the Falklands and South Georgia and the Antarctic Peninsula with this Antarctic Odyssey. So again, it gives you some choices and some different options. But they have a lot of different stuff that they have one where you can fly the Drake. They have a women's specific Antarctic cruise. And then I also, again, wanted to highlight the inclusions with Aurora Expeditions. I want to go back to this slide. This is just a sampling of what they have. If you call me and these dates and don't work out with you, they do have some early booking pricing, and I can work with you and make sure we get you the best deal on any of these other dates. So, if the dates that I've featured don't work with you, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Let's work. Let's try to find something that works for you. Okay, so again, the inclusions, your transfers, your hotel, great service, all meals, beer, house wine, soft drinks. There's a captain's farewell reception, including a nice 4-course dinner, house cocktails. All shore excursions, again, are always included. They have an expedition doctor. If you need to see him for a quick consultation, there's no charge for that. But then if you need further treatment, they do charge you a little bit for that. You get that jacket, your muck boots to use, the Wi-Fi. They give you some comprehensive pre-departure information that usually comes out about 21 days before you leave. And then all those permits and fees, everything you need to land is included. Again, things that are going to be additional for you are going to be your flights. So you're going to need to fly to Buenos Aires and then fly to Ushuaia. And your gratuities, that's for your housekeeping staff and your dining staff, are going to be $15 per person per day. And then if you do the additional activities like kayaking or snorkeling, there is a fixed charge for that. You are charged for that for the whole cruise, and you sign up for that at time of booking, and I'll give you a price for that. And then any alcoholic beverages that are purchased outside of meal times are an additional price. So I want to talk to you about the logistics of getting to Ushuaia. So my recommendation, and this is the best option, is you fly round trip to Buenos Aires and plan to spend the night in Buenos Aires. The hotels are not super expensive in Buenos Aires, $200 to $400 a night. I can even put you in a brand name hotel like the Holiday. It's actually not the Holiday anymore. It's been sold to Marriott, and it's about $200 a night. And then we need to get you a flight from either the international airport or the domestic airport for about 163, $450 per person. It's 3 hours and 40 minutes. They have all different ways you can book them. I'd say book them with a flexible or with a premium economy. That's probably the way to book it. And then we can get you an extra night in Ushuaia. Pricing is going to start at like $285, depending on which week you're going and whether you book the hotel or the hotel and the tour package. There's different ways that can be booked. So there's also a couple of airports from which that you can fly. You can get a connecting flight all the way from that airport to Ushuaia. Um, Miami is one that they offer it from. Um, so if you want to like fly to Miami, spend the overnight there, and then take Aerolíneas Argentinas all the way to Ushuaia, that is an option. And then we can also book you an extra night there. Um, so this is now the time to book for 2027 because you're going to get the best pricing because they're still doing the early booking discount, and you're going to get my extra 10% off for the 2027 cruises. It's a $2,500 deposit. And that once I put a room on hold for you, that will be due in 7 days. I need to stress this. Deposits are absolutely non-refundable, but they may be transferable. So if we put this on hold for you and 4 or 5 months down the road, something happens, your niece is getting married, or um, there's something going on where Antarctica is really not going to work with you. They do have expeditions in Europe. You can do wild Scotland. They have some in the Mediterranean. So if maybe there's a health concern where you just can't go to that remote part of the world, we may be able to work with them to get your deposit transferred to something else, but it is at their sole discretion and their approval. They do not guarantee that they're going to be able to do that, but they do try to work with you and find something. The sooner you let them know that you might need to do that, the more flexible they're going to be. But absolutely, I need to let you know it is a non-refundable $2,500 per person deposit. Non-refundable. Final payment, though, is not due until 90 days before departure. So that's good. You have up until then to save up. And they do require $250,000 of emergency evacuation insurance coverage. So I can point you in the right direction as to where to buy that. So that's actually not as scary and as expensive as it sounds. I mean, it can be as little as $75 to $300 per person to buy that. And that's just for the medical evacuation. Cancellation coverage ends up being a little bit more. And I can show you how you can kind of layer those two things on top of each other. And then in April or May of 2026 is when we can start looking at buying that air, because we need to be inside of 11 months before we can buy the air. And really quickly, because we do so many different kinds of cruises, I just want to go through what else we have. So if you want to do Antarctica, but the expedition thing isn't your thing, I have some scenic sailing. I have one with Celebrity and a really nice long grand voyage with Holland America, where both of them you do some nice scenic sailing in Antarctica. You don't get off the ship, you don't walk around, but if the expedition thing isn't quite your thing, those are good options. I getting ready to escort a group. I still have a couple cabins in the Scandinavian May 10th of this year, 2026. And I may still be able to add this Best of Norway onto the end of that. It's like starts 2 days after you get off the Holland America cruise. If you are a little bit of an eclipse nut, I do have a 14-night celebrity cruise that is going to go, it's going to be able to go right through the path of totality off the coast of Spain. And that departs on August 1st of 2026. I also have a couple of longer cruises with Holland America that include the eclipse in like off the coast of Greenland. So that's kind of cool. We are escorting this group on Windstar. Something happened to my Windstar. It got cut off. Anyway, we're escorting this group on Windstar October 19th of this year. There's maybe like 4 cabins available left on the ship, but if you are interested, give me a call. In October of 2027, same itinerary, it just starts on October 10th. Availability is wide open, and we have similar pricing. So great pricing. It includes the all-inclusive package. Just we have really good pricing on that. We also have some Mediterranean cruises on Celebrity as well with better than direct pricing. Pricing you see is total for 2 with drinks and Wi-Fi included, not per person. And then we also have a couple other opportunities with Celebrity. Again, the price you see there, total for 2 people, refundable deposit with drinks and Wi-Fi included. Another great Mediterranean itinerary with Celebrity. Again, price is total for 2 with drinks and Wi-Fi included and refundable deposits. We do European river cruises as well. I have a couple of very little availability on an Avalon cruise and includes Lake Como, Amsterdam to Basel with Lake Como in August of 26. And then if you're really up for an adventure, we love these long cruises with Holland America. They're one of the most affordable ways to do long cruises. And 35 nights in a balcony for $8,099 per person. And then you can add the have it all, which makes it pretty much all inclusive, for $60 per person per day. Or don't. If you don't drink, you don't want those extras that come with it. It's a pretty reasonable price. And also, if you want to see Northern Lights, what are the two things you need? A dark sky, okay, and a clear sky. So we are going up to Norway in October of 2027 in hopes of seeing Northern Lights. We're really excited about that. In May of 2027, we are doing our first North American river cruise. It's going to be 9 days from Portland, Oregon to Clarkson, Washington. And we are very excited about this. We have our pricing is $300 per person less than the price that you get direct with American Cruise Line. So it's a beautiful itinerary and one of the most beautiful parts of the U.S. that we're going to be able to see. We also have this fantastic 28-night Alaska with Holland America. We did this year. Fantastic itinerary. You see so many parts of Alaska that you wouldn't normally see. And we've got great, better than direct pricing on that one as well. And if you are not doing anything this Thursday, let's see, today is the 26th, so that would be the 27th, 28th, 29th. It would be January 29th. We are having a live webinar on our Arctic expedition with Aurora Expedition. This is taking us back to the very first place we did an Arctic expedition with Aurora, Svalbard. So if you are interested in learning more about that, please join us for this webinar on Thursday, January 29th. And now I'm going to leave you with a little inspirational video from Aurora Expeditions.
So that's why Aurora Expeditions has always treated those who come on the voyage as individuals. They're not group travel voyages. These are voyages of like-minded people travelling together and exploring in their own individual way.
So I like what Greg Mortimer said there, because I've got group pricing, but you're going to be exploring in your own individual way. You're going to be experiencing it as an individual, and it's the way you want to experience Antarctica, but at my great group rates. So again, here's my pricing. It is the right column that you see here. That is with that extra 10% off. Based on today's rates. So if you're watching this a couple months from now, we did post this on January 26th. Call me. It will still be an extra 10% off, but it'll be off whatever the rates are on your date. But then again, here's also the rates. This is per person based on double occupancy for the March 9th cruise that is the Antarctic Odyssey. And call me to get a complete quote. You can call my 805-210-5327 number. Pop me off an email, sclawson@cruiseone.com. You're going to save thousands. We're going to give you $250 per person onboard credit. And that's for people that book within 2 weeks of this webinar. So this webinar was held on January 26th, 2026. So count the days. If you're watching this after that, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it, but I'll try. I'll ask. But it's within 2 weeks of when we post this webinar up on the internet. So do we have any questions? Steve, are you watching the chat room? Are there any questions that got posted in our chat from our live people attending?
Not so far. The chats are empty.
Okay, so I'll just leave it open. If anybody has something they want to put up in the chat.
If you have a question you want to ask, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, or like I said, put it up in the chat room. Steve, was there anything that you thought of that I didn't cover that we've had questions about in the past while we're waiting for people?
Pretty thorough.
Okay. All right. Well, again, we hope you enjoyed this presentation. We hope that it got you excited about Aurora Expeditions. Like I said, we love partnering with them. We think they are the best expedition cruise line to partner with by far. Just an incredible company. They have incredible people that work with them. And we know that if you choose to do your expedition to the Arctic, the Antarctic with them, you are going to have an amazing experience that will just change your perspective on the world forever. Here's how you get in touch with us. There's my email, sclosson@cruiseone.com. And there's my toll-free number, 855-367-4730. We invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, visit our website, follow us on Facebook whenever we have these kind of webinars. We always put advertisements there or post information about it. So if we don't have any questions that came up in the chat room, I think we'll go ahead and end our webinar there. Anything else that came up, Steve?
No, it doesn't look like anybody's unmuting themselves out.
Okay. All right.